Espresso! This is Macchiato! She is Espresso's little sister! Oh, and there's Espresso. Hi! Come here, baby! Come here! Say hi to my friends online. Go. Hey everyone! It's your Tita Kate! Welcome to my channel. If you're old viewers, old subscribers, thank you so much for coming back. Thank you so much for subscribing. If you're new to my channel, thank you for checking out this video, and please do click the subscribe button if you like my content. So as you saw from the earlier clip, I have kids! No, I'm kidding. They're not kids, they're cats. I don't think I really ever formally introduced my cats to the bookish community, so those are my cats. The bigger one, her name is Espresso. She is 9 months old. She is a Persian mix. She's half Persian, half we don't know what. She's a tortoise shell. I've had her, and here she is. Hi, baby. I've had her for, I got her when she was 3 months old. I adopted her when she was 3 months old, last year. And just 2 weeks ago, Espresso became an ate, or what, the Tagalog term for older sister. So, 2 weeks ago, I adopted another cat. She's a 3 months old calico Persian mix named Macchiato. So she was the little tiny kitten from the first few clips. Like I said, she's 3 months old. So they're friends now, which I'm very happy about, because the first 2 days that Macchiato was here, they were not friends at all. Like, Espresso would hiss at Macchiato, like the fur on her back would be like rising and puffed up and all. But now they are finally friends, so your tita can, you know, rest and relax knowing that they're just playing and not like trying to kill each other. So yay me! Yay being a cat mom! But I didn't just make this video to talk about cats. So this video actually has a purpose other than talking about cats. Although I do admit, my cats will probably be coming in and out of videos, or you might hear them even in the background. I think you can hear right now the sound of Macchiato playing with her ball. I've given up on trying to keep them out of my videos. Cats will go where they want to, so you might see like a tail here, an ear there. Just, you know, take it in stride. But anyway, this video is actually about Pride Month. So as we all know, June is Pride Month. June is the time to celebrate all the identities under the umbrella of queer, whether you're lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, aromantic, ace-romantic, or anywhere on the ace spectrum, non-binary, genderqueer, whatever. This is your month. This is the month to celebrate who you are, who you love, and your truth and your bravery and all of that. And this month is particularly close to my heart also because your tita is proudly bisexual, which I talk about a lot on Twitter sometimes, and I don't know if I've ever mentioned it in a video, but here it is. Your tita is bisexual, so Pride does mean that, Pride has that meaning for me in celebrating that identity of being bisexual, which is why I decided to make this video. So this video is essentially going to be recommendations of books that have bisexual protagonists. It's a sad reality, but the truth of the matter is there is still biphobia, bi-erasure, even inside the LGBT+ community, even inside the queer community. And I want to do my part in helping to give the bisexual community a voice and proudly represent bisexual books, bisexual creations, bisexual literature, and boost those voices, boost those books on the platform that I do have, which is why I decided to create this video. Just a little aside, if you've watched my previous video, which is a wrap-up of my May and my June TBR, you'll probably notice that the books that I selected to be on my June TBR are all books that feature bisexual protagonists. Those books are The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, Let's Talk About Love, and Labyrinth Lost. So all 4 of those books feature bisexual protagonists. So if you want to add to your queer reading list for this month, you can check out those books too. I left links to the Goodreads pages of those books in the description box of my previous video. But if you also want to know more about other books that also have bisexual protagonists, this video in particular will talk about 5 more books that have bisexual protagonists. So again, I'll leave the links to the Goodreads pages of those books in the description box, so please check them out, add them to your TBR. If you see them on Amazon or Book Depository or in your local bookstore, pick them up, because these books have been read by people whose opinions on books that I trust very much, and all of them have said that these books are great. So let's get started! So, disclaimer, I haven't figured out how to do the thing where the book covers appear here on the pages of the screen. So you're just gonna have to put up with me just talking about the book without a visual representation of what the book's cover looks like. But again, the Goodreads links are in the description box, so if you'd like to see the covers, go check that out. Anyway, so the first book on my recommendations of books with bisexual protagonists is the book Wild Beauty by Anna-Marie McLemore. So a shit ton of my fellow book bloggers and booktubers love this book, love Anna-Marie McLemore in general. Wild Beauty is the story of this garden estate called, hang on, I have to look up I have the Goodreads page of this open on my phone here, so let me just check that out real quick. The name of the garden estate is called, La Pradera, and it is watched over by a family of women called Nomuelvides. And the Nomuelvides women are basically cursed. Every time they fall in love with anyone, the curse is that the person that they fall in love with disappears. Like they either leave or they vanish, something bad happens to them, whatever. So the story goes that the 5, I think, Nomuelvides women fall in love with this one girl, and they decide for the good of the girl they're not going to do anything about it, so that, you know, she doesn't fall victim to the curse. And so it feels like they're destined to live this lonely, sad existence until one day this boy appears on La Pradera, in the garden estate thing, and he has no memory of who he is. He has no idea what he's doing there. And one of the Nomuelvides women, whose name is Estrella, she's the one who finds this boy, and she tries to help him figure out who he is, what he's doing there, and basically how he came to be in La Pradera. This book is an example of magical realism, which is a genre that is heavily rooted in the Latinx writing style, I believe. I'm not too super aware of what magical realism is as a genre, but everyone that I've encountered in book Twitter and through book blogs and on BookTube has basically just said that that Wild Beauty and Anna-Marie McLemore's writing style is very lush, very lyrical, very beautiful, and as someone who enjoys that kind of writing style, I feel like this book is up my alley. So I'm excited to get it. I'm excited to add it to my TBR and to get started. And I know people have been screaming at me to read Anna-Marie McLemore's books for the longest time. I know Fadwa loves them. I know Vicky loves them. I think CW also loves these books. I know JM loves them. So this is a writer who comes very much recommended to me by almost all of the book bloggers and booktubers that I'm friends with. So I'm excited to finally add one of her books to my TBR. Speaking of girls who are cursed in love, the second book on my recommendation list follows that trope theme, I guess. I am talking about the new release Don't Date Rosa Santos, written by Nina Moreno. So Don't Date Rosa Santos is the story of this girl named Rosa. She's Cuban-American. She lives in South Florida, and she thinks that she's been cursed by the ocean, that every boy who loves her, every person, sorry, not just boy, because the main character is bisexual, But everyone who falls in love with her, is like something bad happens to that person. I haven't read the book, so I don't really know what entails being cursed in this one, but basically, yeah, bad shit happens to people who fall in love with her. And this story is very filled basically with Cuban culture, Cuban American culture, and of course the POC community that you have in South Florida. A lot of people have said that if you like One Day at a Time, which I am a big fan of, by the way. I'm a huge fan of One Day at a Time, thanks to Shalea, who showed it to me while we were in Malaysia. But people have said that if you're a big fan of One Day at a Time, Don't Date Rosa Santos will be like right up your alley. And also, I think one of the blurbs on the book said that basically Don't Date Rosa Santos is what a YA book written by Lin-Manuel Miranda would be like. And yeah girl, yeah tita is a huge Hamilton fan. So when I read that blurb, I got curious. And then this book first came across my radar when, like, on release day, my feeds, both Instagram and Twitter, were just full of people wearing yellow. Like, I saw Vicky and Tiffany and Fadwa, a whole bunch of people wearing yellow, and it was like about Rosa Santos' curse. I don't know how it's all involved, how wearing yellow is a part of Rosa Santos' story, but the campaign caught my attention because, like, everyone looked hella cute. So I checked out the book, and it was rated really high by a lot of people, again, whose opinions in books that I trusted. And then I found out that it was BiRep, that the main character, Rosa Santos, is bisexual. So cute campaign, tons of people that whose opinions in books that I trust loving it, bisexual rep, added to my TBR. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, add that to your TBR as well. The next book on my book rec list is one that's super popular. It's on everyone's TBR. If you haven't heard of this book yet, come out of that rock that you've been living under and check out Red, White, and Royal Blue. Red, White, and Royal Blue, I'm pretty sure most of you all know this by now, but basically it's set in an alternate universe where a woman won the presidential elections, and her son is basically like the perfect millennial poster boy for the White House. Except that he has an ongoing feud with the Prince of Wales, I think the character is, from across the pond in the UK. And it's bad publicity, but then, you know, the PR folks decided that, like, hey, wouldn't it be good for publicity, wouldn't it be great for, like, the image of the White House or whatever if they had a staged friendship. But then, of course, in the time-honored tradition of fanfics everywhere, this staged friendship turns into a secret, real relationship. The main character, the first son, Alex, is bisexual, so this is BiRep, like I said. And basically everyone's been raving about how cute and relatable this video is, and how one of the reviews that I've read of it said that, like, it sort of seemed like the United States that they wanted. Like, in their wildest dreams, this is the United States that they believe in, that they still had hope in. So I'm glad that American readers were able to have that, take that from the reading experience of reading Red, White, and Royal Blue, because, like, we all know how much of a shit show it is in the United States right now. We feel you, Americans, because our president isn't exactly the best here either. But yeah, so I'm glad you guys were able to take that comfort from the book. And like with Wild Beauty and Don't Date Rosa Santos, a ton of people whose opinions and books that I trust have also said that they loved it, so I'm excited to read it. I reserved my copy at Fully Booked already, so I hope I get it soon. Fully Booked High Street is gonna text me when the book is available, so yay. The fourth book on this recommendation list is not a contemporary, and it is not primarily a romance. It is also a relatively new book. It only came out June 4, I think. June 4, 2019. It is fantasy, and this book is called A Sorcery of Thorns. And I know a lot of people have this book on their most anticipated list. Personally, I apologize, but it was not. It was not on my most anticipated reading list until I found out this morning from my good friend B. I'll link their channel in the description box. I found out from B that A Sorcery of Thorns has buy rep. So when I found that out, I was like, thank you for making my morning, B. Thank you for adding to my already monstrously growing TBR. But I added that. I don't like the cover, so I'm probably not gonna get a hard copy, but I ordered it on the Kindle store, and it's now in my on my iPad, in the Kindle app on my iPad, and I'll get to reading that soon. So basically, A Sorcery of Thorns is all about a library where they store like grimoires, and the grimoires are like they turn into monsters if they're not protected or controlled by like the librarians. And the main character wants to be like a librarian in the Great Library, but then the books like turn all into monsters, and then she's framed for the crime, and she has to turn to a sorcerer for help, but like the sorcerers are like illegal or something in the kingdom. I don't know, but the plot, to be honest, the plot was interesting, but it wasn't super, like, it didn't really draw me in, aside from the whole killer libraries thing, because that sounded cool. But I wasn't really like motivated to read it right away. I mean, like, yeah, I was all, this sounds like a cool concept, I might check it out, but you know, it's not really on my priority list. I'm not gonna like go out of my way to get it this month, this June. But then again, like I said, I found out from B that this has buy rep, so it's like whoop, straight to the top of my to buy list, and it is now on my Kindle, so I will read it this month. Thank you, B, for making me spend money. But no, seriously, thank you for the buy rep. I know some people might be a little disappointed that it's not sapphic. Personally, I am a little disappointed too that it's not sapphic, but you know, buy rep is buy rep, and whether a bisexual person is with a person of their own gender or of a different gender, they are still valid as bisexual. Their identity, how they identify as being attracted to various different genders is still valid no matter who they're in a relationship with. So yeah, that you can clearly tell that this is something that I feel strongly about. But yeah, so it was a book that was interesting, but when I found out that it was buy rep, so like that added like the must-buy factor to the interesting sounding plot. So yeah, now it's on my iPad and I'm gonna read it this month. Yay me! But don't worry, because even though I went on that whole soapbox about bi people being valid even if they are in relationships with someone not of their gender, you know your girl had to include FF romance in this list. So the last book for my recommendations is Not Your Sidekick, which is a YA superhero science fiction. I found out about this book through CW's blog tour, I think. Yeah. I can't remember if it was a blog tour or if it was just a review, but like CW was just ranting about this book so much, about how much she loved it, and y'all know I trust her taste in books, so I checked it out, and the summary was really cute. I really liked it, so I decided to add it to my TBR. So in Not Your Sidekick, the main character, Jessica Tran, is a girl of Chinese and Vietnamese descent, and her parents are superheroes. Her older sister has also powers, and she's basically perfect. But Jessica herself has no powers, and she feels like she's really forgettable and ordinary compared to her superpowered family. So she decides to try to get an internship, you know, to like boost her resume and so forth. And she thinks it's a great opportunity because it's a paid internship. But then it turns out that the internship that she got is with the town's supervillain. And then she finds while she's working for him, she decides to, you know, go out anyway and take the internship because she thinks it's like a good way to like be all fuck you, I do what I want to her parents, who are of course superheroes. but then she finds out, she discovers this plot that encompasses all of superheroes and supervillains, and basically becomes the heroine of the story. So the people who have written about how much they love this book talked about there's FF romance in it. So Jessica falls in love with a woman, and although she's explicitly bisexual apparently in the book, she falls in love with a woman, with a female character. And the book also talks about the pull between two cultures and how to find your place within those two cultures, considering that Jessica is Chinese and Vietnamese. So that was an important part of the book, of how the book, the plot of the book progressed, and of course Jessica's character, who she is, and her character arc and development. So aside from the romance, it had all those great aspects to it and all that wonderful representation. So I'm really excited to add this to my TBR. I do not have a copy yet, but I will get around to it. I haven't decided yet if I'll just buy an ebook or if I'll look for like a physical copy. I have not yet seen a physical copy in bookstores. Is this even out yet? Let me check. Okay, so apparently Yatita is a dumb bitch, and this book has been out for like 2 years. 3 years rather. This came out in 2016. I think it's book 2 that comes out this year. I'm not sure, but yeah. So like I said, I have not seen this in bookstores here in the Philippines, but if I do find one, I might get myself a copy. But for now, I guess maybe I'll just get the ebook. But yeah, it seems like it's gonna be. It seems like it's a really good story. It's really highly rated, and like I said, CW, whose taste in books I trust, loved it. So pretty much no-brainer on getting that. And that was it. That was my video of my recommendations of books with bisexual protagonists. So those are 5 books. If those 5 books are not enough for you, head on over to my previous video, my May 2019 wrap-up and my June 2019 TBR. I've got 4 more books there that feature bisexual protagonists. So I have given you guys a total of 9 books to read this month that feature bisexual protagonists. But before I sign off, I want to say something about Pride, about the celebration of the queer community in general. We have to remember that Pride started out as a riot. It was a protest against police brutality led by Black transgender women. So at its very heart, it started off as a way to defend and stand up for the causes of marginalized people, to stand up against the status quo. You cannot separate you know, that reality of what Pride is of what Pride was back then from how Pride is celebrated now. Sorry, my cat like knocked off the cover of my camera from the table. I'll get it later. But anyway, as I was saying, you cannot separate that root, that history of being anti-establishment and pro-marginalized people away from Pride. Pride isn't just a march for the celebration of queer people, although at its very heart, that's what it is. But when you resist, when you stand up for queer people, it means basically standing up for and believing in the causes of other marginalized people. And particularly in the Philippines, I am talking also about workers, farmers, fishermen, the urban poor, women, children, criminals, even in those who are jailed. Considering that, you know, the people who are mostly jailed here aren't actually like the rich criminals, but, you know, the people who have families to feed, and that's why they did bad things. But anyway, you cannot separate Pride, what you march for in Pride, from those causes. It's all intertwined together. When you stand up for being queer, when you stand up for people in your community against a society that doesn't accept you, you have to stand up for people who are in the same boat, but whose circumstances may be different. I think that's firmly shown in what the theme of this year's Metro Manila Pride March is, which is resist together. I cannot at the moment recall who said this. I believe, I honestly think it was a black queer activist, but I cannot remember for the life of me that person's name. If ever, when I find out, I will Google it later. I'll leave it in the description box down below, but the quote is, no pride for some of us without liberation for all of us, and I firmly believe in that. So when you stand up there, when you march for pride, when you march for who you are as a queer person, as an LGBT plus person, you have to also be marching for the farmers whose lands are stolen, the indigenous people who are being bombed by the army. You also have to stand up for the poor, the urban poor who are living homeless here in Manila. You also have to stand up for the farmers and the fishermen whose lives are being threatened by the army, by ships from other countries trying to take our sovereignty. You have to stand up for the small-time drug dealers who are being shot by the Duterte thugs, and all of that. That's what resisting together means. That's what pride means. When you stand up for marginalized people, you can't just stand up for your own identity being a marginalized person. You have to stand up for all the other marginalized identities as well. And particularly in the US, there is a new no, it's not a new thing. It's been a thing for a while. There is a thing about like excluding trans people from, you know, LGBT spaces, LGBT plus spaces, and like that came about because of like TERFs and all that. They're bullshit. They're wrong, and you know they don't deserve. TERFs don't deserve a place in Pride or in this community, because for one thing, and the most important thing, is that this community would not exist without trans women, black trans women in particular, as I said earlier. So those two communities in particular, black people, trans people, they are integral to the formation of Pride in what it is now. So standing up for yourself as a queer person and fighting for your community, and your fighting for representation as a marginalized community also means fighting for those people, black people, trans people, because they are at the very heart of this formation of Pride and this creation of what Pride is now. If it weren't for black people or for trans people, the Pride movement wouldn't exist. So, you know, standing up for yourself as a lesbian, as a bi person, as a trans person, as a pan person, as a gay person, as an aro, ace, genderqueer, whatever person, whatever your identity is, if you stand up for it, for who you are, against the society that doesn't think that you belong there, then you have to stand for those other identities as well, those other marginalizations. Which is why I really love the Metro Manila Pride theme of this year. As I said, resist together. And resistance can only really be done if we're all there, standing up and believing in each other's cause. And of course, you really can't separate Pride's history as a movement being started by trans women and black trans women in particular. So these are two identities that are integral to the formation of what Pride is, of our community as the queer community that it is. So those two identities really are at the heart of, you know, what it means to be in Pride, what it means to be part of the queer community. And so those two identities really do have a place in the queer community and need to be protected as such. So sorry that got a little soapboxy, but you know, yeah, Tita talks about what she believes in, and in particular, this is something that I really do feel strongly about the inclusion, about the queer community, the LGBT plus community being inclusive and representative and being part of the fight, no matter what the marginalization is. So thank you so much for clicking this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please click the subscribe button. I'm also on Book Twitter. I'm on Bookstagram. I have a book blog. I'll leave the links down below. Of all the people that I've mentioned in this video, I will also leave the links in the description box. Do check them out. I hope you like this, and I guess I'll see you guys next time. Love and light from your favorite Tita. Mwah!